David Gerhardt designed. Shot in the Dark, which is David Gerhardt's way of talking about his Sensei's Divining Top, Enlightened Tutor, Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek, Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas deck. Importantly, very worth noting, 4 copies of Thopter Foundry, 3 copies of Sword. Lands. On the other side of the table, Matthew Gargiulo with lands.
So, actually, Drew even talked about this in his deck. I mean, in his article, this deck that he's playing in his article recently. I don't think it was this week, but it may have been last week. And so it's kind of no surprise that he's playing this particular version.
Looking at our opening hands here.
Yeah, I was just trying to confirm Matt's nickname Googs, right? He actually did commentary back in Memphis with me, and I'm sure he's done it before, but he's a big fan of Legacy. He did the commentary for a High Tide Mirror featuring Jerry T, and I can't remember his opponent, but...
I'm actually one of those weirdos that likes the High Tide Mirror.
I like it too, it's fun. I don't know, maybe I just like watching people play good Magic. I think that's what I'm a fan of. I don't think there's anything that I don't want to see.
Oh, I can't. I like seeing good Magic, but there are things I don't want to watch.
You mean decks? You don't want to watch?
Decks, yeah. Okay. So we were saying before about this David Gerhardt deck. Shot in the Dark is the name that David Gerhardt gave this. So, Thopter Foundry, Sword of the Meek, is not a new combo by any stretch of the imagination. But one of the things that David says is very important, even though you've got Enlightened Tutors to fetch up the combo, to just have a huge redundancy. And use redundancy, right, as your means to avoid having to tutor for the combo, because the combo is just underpowered for Legacy.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this. I want to see Tezzeret in action too. As we were saying before, he actually does run Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas in this deck alongside Chase the Mind Sculptor.
One of the things that's really interesting, 2 Ensnaring Bridge as a part of his tutor targets. His tutor targets, I mean, he can tutor for a whole bunch of things, but the ones that he has few numbers of, so the actual expected targets, are his 2 Ensnaring Bridge, 1 Oblivion Ring, 1 Engineered Explosives, and 1 Humility.
So Drew leads on a Tundra.
There we go. Tundra. No play other than that means either Enlightened Tutor or Brainstorm are his possible plays. Does do neither. Wasteland from Matt.
Wasteland from Matt, yeah.
Matt, as we said before, playing lands.
I was going to say earlier, that it was a shame we didn't get to watch Drew yesterday, because I think you did a very good impression of his play, because of his theater background, as you had mentioned. So luckily, or hopefully, we'll get to see some of that here.
Here we have Exploration. Very dangerous from the lands deck. 1, Rishad and Port. Rishad and Port.
Rishad and Port.
Enlightened Tutor at the end of the turn. Engineered Explosives wouldn't be terrible. He would not have the mana without help to activate and blow it up. He could also tutor perhaps for an Artifact Land. Let's see what he got. Artifact Land it is.
Land, yep. Seed of the Synod.
Drew untaps, draws the Seed of the Synod. Casts.
There it is.
Plays a Chromox. 2 Chromoxes in this deck. Source of Plowshares goes away.
Yeah, so that's...
Ooh, Explosives for 1 is possible. Oblivion Ring is possible.
It's a Mox Pearl.
Oh, Oblivion Ring. You really do want to get rid of that that Exploration. I like that, him flipping over that Exploration, perhaps making his opponent forget that it's underneath that Oblivion Ring if the game progresses any length of time.
That's an interesting situation. Not that he couldn't just look.
Oh, of course he can just look, but sometimes people don't take the action.
Yeah, very, very good point. Little small edges.
Oh boy.
Is that a...
That is a mana bond.
Mana bond, okay.
Mana bond allows him to put all of his lands into play, should he choose, and in so doing, he would be forced to discard his hand. That would be at the end of the turn he would put those lands into play. Rishadan Port with off of a Caracas during the upkeep to tap the... is that a scrub land there?
Yeah, I think so. Scrubland and Badland look so familiar, but I'm
And
not sure
then
that's
we have
Scrubland.
Flooded Strand for Drew Levin. Fetches something. Fetches Underground Sea.
That's definitely Scrubland.
And Drew casts Engineered Explosives for 1. And then I think he might immediately pop it.
Yeah, it seems like a... Yeah.
Boom! Yep, get rid of that guy. Again, you do not want the lands deck to have the ability to just drop all of their lands down. Even if they don't have a Life from the Loam going, it will start going at a certain point. What do we have there? Is that a Ghost Quarter? Ghost Quarters during up. Is that a Ghost Quarter?
It looks
Thanks,
like,
yeah, it's a Ghost Quarter.
Foil, so
Getting rid of the Underground Sea. Now, Drew Levin, no basic lands. So that's just a strip mine. Just a wasteland. Actually, without basic lands, that's actually, I would say, a strip mine.
Right on. Yeah, it reminds me of when someone plays Path to Exile against Team America.
Upkeep taps the Tundra.
And 3 mana from Drew puts a... oh, wait.
Yeah, earlier.
Oh, he...
Tezzeret.
Was it during upkeep? 'Cause it couldn't have been if he just... I mean, I don't see another...
Random main phase
okay,
tap.
So, yeah, I was gonna
Wow.
say, couldn't
I'm
have been
guessing
another.
what happened was probably Drew said upkeep, draw, main,
Right.
and then he's like, oh, I'll tap something. Well, a little late.
Yeah, I'll use that mana. So Tezzeret digs up a, looks like an artifact land.
Darksteel Citadel? Nope, Vault of Whispers.
Yep.
And Matt's dropping Mazavith, perhaps? There's a Mazavith. Go. Upkeep. Hey, I remember to do this now. Upkeep, tap something. Let's tap your Tundra. The damage is done, though. Tezzeret is in play.
Yeah, I think that's something
Tezzeret
really good for Drew.
does his impulse ability once again. Drew there with a looks like a Thopter Foundry. Taps his 2 artifact lands, drops it down.
Yep.
So let's go. We've got Glenn Jones joining me in the booth right now.
Well, I'm not really sure how this matchup should actually go, I guess.
At this point, I mean, obviously Drew has a huge advantage, but on average, I'm not sure how it runs out.
I don't even think Drew's that far ahead. He can turn things into 5/5s, but the Mazavith will slow him down. Engineered Explosives will slow him down.
Engineered Explosives for 2 blows up the Foundry before any bad things can happen. 1 life for Drew Levin and a token. Sadly, that is not a Yo MTV Raps token, nor is it a Rashad token. We had a whole bunch of Yo MTV Raps tokens over there, and there's always Rashad GG's Live tokens running around when Rashad's in the house. And again, Tezzeret just doing its work, impulsing free cards, and enough artifacts in this deck to be able to find something. I see a Sensei's Divining Top amongst other things. There it is.
The Jace also there.
Top it is.
Resolving Jace would have been a pretty nice one. Unfortunate.
Lays another land. Cast the top. And he goes for a check. What's on top?
I thought I saw an Enlightened Tutor, but I'm not sure.
I think I saw swords, so maybe a swords and an Enlightened Tutor, and says go. One of the things that Drew Levin says is that he doesn't want to take more than 3 seconds for a decision. And you can see how quickly he went through that decision there with the top. It wasn't like watching many other players play top that we've seen over the last months. Matt casts 3 mana Intuition. This almost certainly is going to be getting Loam and perhaps some friends. At least 1 Loam, though.
There's the loam.
1 loam. 1 friend, 2 friend? Nope, 2 loam.
Do you have different ones? I can pick this out.
I guess he maybe wants to guarantee getting one this turn.
It's 2 loam.
I'm gonna pop back out and let Joey sit.
Glenn Jones is gonna run away. He's too scared to find out what Matt is gonna grab with that last pick.
Alright, what did I miss? Doesn't look like...
We've got Tezzeret's been doing its work. Got a Sensei's Divining Top in play, and Intuition has resolved, getting at least 2 life from the loams, and it looks like a land as well. Loam Runes and... Loam Runes and a Tranquil Thicket. Gives him the Tranquil Thicket. Now, had the land been tapped slightly differently, he would have been able to activate that thicket right away, but it is his own main phase, so...
Looks like another Enlightened Tutor from Drew.
And Academy Runes. Enlightened Tutor getting the Thopter Foundry once again. Puts it on top, draws it. Now, normally, I remember that David Gearhart said that wasn't an exciting play, but with Tezzeret in play, it doesn't matter nearly as much just because you have... Oh, there's the combo. Because you have the ability to recoup the lost card from Enlightened Tutor, which Gearhart thinks is a big deal, but with Tezzeret already there...
Yeah, this is
all... Yeah. Oh,
really
look at that.
Is that a Thopter token? Is that that?
There's already a Thopter token in play.
So he +1s Tezzeret, finds another Sword of the Meek and a Brainstorm, and...
What's he going to take? He takes the Seat of the Synod, yeah. I don't believe he's played a land yet, so that's a land he puts into play. Gives him another opportunity to make yet another token at the end of the turn.
Yeah, this is looking good for Drew as far as I can tell. I do really like I like the lands deck. Something about lands in general. I think they're just some of the most interesting cards in Magic. Just the tension of usually only being able to play 1 in a turn, unless you have something that says you can't, or it says that you can play more than 1 a turn.
Loam brings back Academy Ruins, Wasteland, and Ghost Quarter.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately for him, the Tezzeret's going to go nuclear in a second.
Yeah. And there's a Mox Diamond, removing is that a Wasteland? Saw a big glare on it. I think it was a Wasteland.
You're dead now. Let me do it.
Counting his artifacts.
Now, currently in play are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 artifacts for Drew Levin, and he can make 3 more at the end of the turn, which means he has Matt dead during his main phase without even doing any more work.
This looks like what he's headed towards, and cracks the Flooded Strand so that he can get another land and another Thopter.
If he just untaps, Tezzeret kills Matt Gargiulo. Matt.
Kills Matt Gargiulo. Googs. And there it is, yeah.
Boom!
Maybe Matt was hoping that Drew didn't realize that Tezzeret could do that. Drew clearly in good spirits. I think you play at a Magic event, have fun. Enjoy yourself.
The things I expect to see from Drew Levin, I expect him to bring in 2 Sealed Cleansing to deal with the 1 mana enchantments, the mana bonds and the explorations from Matthew, and I think he might bring in 1 Blood Moon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, seems good.
This is a very
On the other side of the table, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, there's Pithing Needle for Tezzeret. Croson Grip. I mean,
Croson Grip's solid.
Seems like a decent answer to one of those annoying artifacts. He's also got Engineered Explosives, which which could be decent against things like Drew's Chrome Moxes, and some of the cheaper things that Sensei's defining top.
I don't mind the idea of bringing in 4 Dark Confidants.
Yeah,
just as a means
to
fight. You expect Swords to Plowshares to go away, and a Dark Confidant that can only be answered by an Engineered Explosive doesn't feel so bad.
Yeah, and the fact that it's free card draw really, because he's got so many lands. Very, very good chance he's not taking any damage from that Dark Confidant. I'm going to take a look a little closer at these lists. So, taking a look, I'll actually let you guys know what's in the sideboards here. Starting with Drew's list, you got 4 counterbalance, and so he obviously can become a countertop list, which is one of the more interesting things I think is one of the things that makes this list pretty interesting, because I'm a fan of the counterbalance deck, and this, while not actually a counterbalance deck, can actually become a counterbalance deck. It has so many of the same elements already in the main deck, but being able to fight on multiple levels of attack with the Thopter Foundry Sword of the Meek combo, as well as the counterbalance top combo, seems like a really good deck. And being able to tutor things up, of course, with Enlightened Tutor is having the Enlightened Tutor package is great. Drew also runs 4 Aethersworn Canonist, not likely to come in here. Seal of Cleansing, 2 of those, a Blood Moon, Humility, and one more Enlightened Tutor, and 2 Karmic Justice. So I could see him, let's see, I'm taking a look, and the Ensnaring Bridge don't seem very effective here, so he could cut the bridges. He could probably cut Humility, and that gives him 3 slots for the Seal of Cleansing and the Blood Moon that Adrian suggested. Other than that, he may want to bring in another Enlightened Tutor. I don't know about becoming the counterbalance deck here. I don't know how effective that is. Doesn't seem like he necessarily needs it. But let's look at Matt's sideboard here. Matt has 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Cursed Totem, 3 Krosan Grip, 4 Dark Confidant, and as we were just saying, that seems really strong in the lands deck, especially. 1 Engineered Explosives, 1 Oblivion Stone, 1 Chalice of the Void, 1 Null Rod, 1 Aethersworn Canonist, and 1 Tormod's Crypt. So he's got quite a bit of silver bullets in the sideboard. So Chalice of the Void is a card that I've been hearing people kind of talk about. Drew even has brought it up. Does that, kind of to fight things like High Tide.
Yeah.
That's a card that I've never personally played with yet. So I'm not entirely, I guess, is it pretty much almost always played on 2? Play with 2 mana on 1?
In Legacy, that's one of the most common plays. And one of the reasons that people, for example, I believe, Drew wrote about Mental Misstep, right?
Yeah, and this is going with this.
If you think about it, right, a Chalice on 1 is a Mental Misstep on everything.
Yeah, and
that's one of the most common ones in Legacy, absolutely. But 0 isn't uncommon in certain matchups, but 1 is probably the most common.
Yeah, so that's assuming that Chalice is most commonly set on 1. How does Mental Misstep affect Chalice of the Void? Do people want to play more Chalices to be able to Mental Misstep to be basically shut down Mental Misstep? Or does it become, when people are playing Chalice, are they saying, I'd rather just play Mental Misstep rather than paying 2 mana, I can just pay 2 life?
I think that they do different things.
Yeah. So, looks like both players are getting ready to play. I think Drew may have mulliganed. Yeah, it looks like he has. For anybody just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco here with Adrian Sullivan at the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Boston. Day 1 of Standard is over, and it was taken down by Dan Jordan, the 3-time winner of the StarCityGames.com Standard portion Open Series events. Previously had won with Rug in 2 consecutive events back in the fall. And now he shows up here with Cawblade, public enemy number 1, and takes it down. We saw an exciting set of Cawblade mirrors, which I know may be an oxymoron to some people, but I found it quite entertaining. Edgar Flores also making his 6th top 8. And
Exploration on turn 1. Force of Will from Drew Levin, tossing a Brainstorm. Does not want to see that card hit play.
Not at all. And a Seat of the Synod and a Sensei's Divining Top. Nice turn 1 play from Drew. Interestingly, Mental Misstep would have been a great card for Drew to have there against the Exploration.
Pithing Needle is...
Or the Pithing Needle.
in response, Sensei's Divining Top is activated, and Needle gets to name whatever it wants now. Probably it's going to be the Sensei's Divining Top, but it could be something else.
Yep. We're going to probably get word from Rashad in just a moment. And a Tranquil Thicket comes down. And a Vault of Whispers for Drew. Okay. What's that? It says pop.
A Rashad import,
I thought you could.
using an upkeep to tap down the Seat of Synod.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay.
Tundra from Drew Levin. Matt
So-
draws a Mox Diamond. Looks like a Tolaria West there. I think I'm seeing that wrong. I don't think he runs to... Maybe I'm right.
And we're gonna find
That
out.
is a Tolaria West
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
yeah.
about to hit play right now, I think. We believe the Pithing Needle is on top, but the runner is away from the table at the moment, so we're gonna find out as soon as he shows up. It is top. Okay, makes sense. We just wanted to confirm. So Matt taps down the Tundra during Drew's upkeep.
Drew just laying land and smoking that pen. Drops one of my favorite cards in Magic. It's been a long time, Karmic Justice. So, if Karmic Justice is in play, if you happen to be the unfortunate soul who destroys the permanent, a non-creature permanent, controlled by the owner of the Karmic Justice, they get to destroy something back. So you break something, he breaks something. And it gets Croson gripped. So in return, Drew Levin, as is his due, gets to destroy something. He destroys the Pithing Needle. And Mox Diamond plus a Rashad import comes down to tap down that Tundra.
I like how you correct yourself.
Oh, man, it's
Every time you
Rashad.
say Rashadin.
If I still had my
Rashad.
ports, I would definitely have Rashad sign them. I was foolish, though, and got rid of them a long time ago.
Foolish.
Rashad is just shaking his head at me.
So a Sensei's Divining Top for Drew. Same one we saw before. And
In a matchup that grinds out like this, because, I mean, yes, the game can end very quickly, but there is the moment of grind. That Sensei's Divining Top is a big deal.
yeah, so there's an intuition.
Oh,
for
boy.
Matt.
It's going to get him the best rational card drawer in the game, as Ian DeGraff, former Legacy great, would say. And what he means by that, what Ian's idea of the best rational card drawer in the game, is that when you're drawing cards with Life from the Loam, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But it's not like casting Ad Nauseam or Necropotence. You know, it's a card that draws you a lot, but does it in a way at least you're spending mana.
Right. So we're trying to figure out, what did he get? Did he get 2 Life from the Loams?
It was Life from the Loam, and a Tranquil Thicket.
That's what I thought. Okay, and he got the Thicket in his hand. Drew gave him the Thicket.
And he says go. He does not have the mana to be able to immediately cast Life from the Loam. Brainstorm from Drew Levin. But the mana to cast, or to cycle the Tranquil Thicket, return Life from the Loam, and cast it. And once again, after the top, Brainstorms, now he's going to top again. Untap. Upkeep. Anything?
Yeah.
Oh, graveyard order. There we go.
Wow.
Let's get the graveyard order correct. Kurt Hahn would be proud.
Where's the Nether Shadow?
Lays a Flooded Strands, cracks that, gets rid of the top cards that he knows about.
Yep. So this is still upkeep, I believe. Oh no, he just played this
lay
Flooded
land.
Strand, yeah, sorry.
That's the main phase.
For some reason I thought that was in play already. I guess I was surprised that Matt didn't tap something down. But.
Maybe Matt's surprised as well. Did I do that again? Did I forget? Obviously, the Sensei's Divining Top doing some good work in nixing the total power there, but he's already seen those three, so it's not gonna do very much for him unless he wants to rethink.
So. There's the Sensei's Divining Top spinning again for Drew.
3 new cards. What do they say?
I love the flavor behind Divining Top as well. Just the whole idea of divining the top of your library. So there's an Enlightened Tutor that Drew gets off of the top, and
It's like a
Mox Opal.
Enlightened Tutor.
Enlightened Tutor from Drew, and he gets to shuffle again after getting
2 cards remain.
yeah.
Oh boy. Bum bum
Blood
bum.
Moon. Yeah, that's a.
Oh, look at his smile.
Drew's,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Matt's kind of thinking, what do I have against a Blood Moon? he's got Blood Moons. Yeah, it's on top of his library.
Thopter Foundry comes into play. Taps a land at the end of the turn. That end of the turn land tap leaves Drew with only 1 Mox as his opportunity for cards, or for mana. Dredging the Life from the Loam. That Mox in Matt's hand, Mox Diamond, is going to be very valuable in trying to keep this going. Cast Life from the Loam. Wow.
Yeah.
Taps 2 of his green sources for that Life from the Loam.
Yeah.
Gets a single land, Talaria West. Mox Diamond, discard Talaria West.
You like to court me?
Ah, okay. He's got Riftstone Portal in his graveyard?
Yeah, as long as you have it in your graveyard, you can. Yeah, this is an interesting situation.
Back to Drew Levin.
If Matt does have Riftstone Portal in his graveyard, does that trump the Blood Moon? There's a Life from the Loam from Matt. Dredged back.
He has to. Look at that. He's spending the Misty Rainforest. He's tapping the Misty Rainforest for mana. Actually, pardon me, it's a mountain, so either way. Yeah, there we go. Crucible of the Worlds. Yeah.
We got him.
We're pretty sure that there's a Riftstone Portal in the yard.
Oh, you're up.
Yeah, that's been confirmed. There is a Riftstone Portal in the yard.
Yeah.
Cycle the Tranquil Thicket.
Yeah.
Draw a card.
I definitely thought that about.
Untap. Draw a card.
Definitely not a card, not a land.
Crucible's a land into play. Says go. Jace the Mind Sculptor. This card in the bottom doesn't even look at it. He already knows what it is.
No, Matt, at least in using Enlightened Tutor.
Looks like a
Oblivion
Stone. Oh.
It's funny, when Karn was spoiled, this is what he reminded me of, in a way, where it was kind of his ultimate. Not Oblivion Stone clearly doesn't reset the game, but being able to kind of save your things and then throw everything else away and then end up with just your stuff.
Oblivion Stone's the world. Drew gains a life and then lets the world blow up.
Seems good.
He's still got that life from the loam going. I'm pretty sure that Matt, unless Drew can do something about... What did he get there? Jace. Matt lays land. Looks like Academy runes. Life from the loam. Tranquil Thicket. Looks like Talaria West. Says go. During the upkeep, he has no abilities. Sends a Divining Top hits play. Activates the top. Yep. Puts those three on top. He's got a decision about his Jace now. You can see the counterbalance there in the yard. So he did board in the counterbalance package.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. You know, if it would be worth bringing in here, but
Well, counterbalance is a great way to stop Life from the Loam from taking over the game.
right.
Drew activates the Brainstorm ability of Jace.
There's a tropical island.
Meanwhile, Matt is taking some moments here
Take a
to
look at this.
search.
It's amusing how Matt filled out his deck list. I guess it was about the only way he could do it. But all of his lands are under the spell slot, and all of his spells are under the land slot. Kind of funny. There's so many different lands, obviously he needed all those slots.
There's an Enlightened Tutor there, so as long as Drew brought in more than one counterbalance, he actually can start going for the lockout.
So, tap down your Underground Sea.
And it looks like Matt has put Oblivion Stone back on top. Puts the Oblivion Stone there.
Blow
blows up
everything
the
up.
world.
This is, seems really strong. Just being able to reuse it with Academy Ruins and really
Now,
just
a Nevinyrral's Disc would not have been able to kill that Jace.
Right, because it specifically just says what
Yeah.
artifacts, creatures, lands, and enchantments or something.
Yeah,
or not
but,
lands, but artifacts, creatures, and enchantments.
Yeah,
creatures.
but
Artifacts?
the other card right there, Oblivion Stone, it says non-land permanent.
Yeah, so way before Planeswalkers, Oblivion Stone was already set up to destroy Planeswalkers. Is he dredging back life?
Thinking about that dredge, but he might be reconsidering. What do we got there? He put something back on top. I couldn't quite see. Is it engineer explosives?
That's what he's about to play. I don't know.
Explosives for 3. Kills a land. Is gonna kill the the Academy ruins, which will barely slow down Matt, because Matt will just reassemble it with life from the loam.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He's looking
like,
for some time here, though, right? Like
he's really grinding this one out.
untap, draws Enlightened Tutor.
Oh,
No, drop
Tezzeret.
Tezzeret.
Tezzeret's got 3 artifacts hanging out right now.
Wow. Wow, goes beatdown.
Wow, yeah, didn't expect to see that coming. Kind of expected him to try to do the ultimate
Well,
plan.
I think that Drew is thinking this, right? Tezzeret will not get to a point where he can get card advantage that can in any way erase life from the loam. The card advantage from life from the loam way overwhelms Tezzeret.
He dredges away Ghost Quarter and 2 Rashad imports.
The Rashad import. And now we're going to see Talaria West go find something. A 0, for example, a Zuran Orb, or a land like, say, Mazavith. Either of those cards will just shut down this path that Drew was going down. He goes for the Mazavith.
Not looking as good for Drew this game as it did last game. That Tezzeret, Matt seems to be able to find an answer in the form of some land to everything Drew's been able to do. And you can tell because Drew's face is completely different than it was earlier in the match.
Untap. Upkeep. Or actually, end of the turn, he uses the Sensei's Divining Top just to check to see what's on top there.
Yeah, I believe that there's
I think I saw a counterbalance.
Yeah.
That'd be very good news.
Put it on top.
Upkeep. Go ahead. Drew. Cast counterbalance, probably. Activates Tezzeret. I see a Sword of the Meek, I think.
Saw Enlightened Tutor, I saw, yeah. Couldn't exactly see, so it was Sword of the Meek that he was going to choose there.
Spends 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wow. Thopter Foundry combo.
So apparently it was not counterbalance that we saw. He has no cards in hand, right? That was what he drew. The,
Dredge here with the Tranquil Thicket at the end of the turn. And taps down land. Drew uses it to Sensei's Divining Top.
There's Academy Ruins. Pass the turn.
Academy Runes say go. And remember, once again, the Oblivion Stone will be able to take care of the entire board once again.
Yeah, so Drew has to do some damage here before Oblivion Stone can do it. Before Matt can get the Oblivion Stone back onto the table, which is coming up pretty soon. So what is? So he -1 Tezzeret. Now he has a +1 and.
Yep, he's going to make a Thopter Foundry into a creature. In for 10, hitting for 5.
Yeah, so what he did, Tezzeret came down, went beat down, so he -1 them, then he +1 them to get the Sword of the Meek. Now he -1 them again, so
Says
back
go.
down to, what is he at, 2 counters then? Or
Taps down 2 lands. Drew using that opportunity to make a couple of Thopters. Sacking the Sword of the Meek, making a 1/1, and the Sword of the Meek then in the yard coming back into play to be sacrificed again. Matt draws. Cast the stone.
Shocking.
Plays a Ghost Quarter. Says go.
Huh.
Drew activates, activate, and Matt.
Here, we'll do it one by one. No, after this one.
Said slow down a little bit. Let's go back.
Would you like to do it? I'll activate that.
So Matt activates the Oblivion Stone, and Drew activates the top in response. I see counterbalance there for sure. At least I think I see Force of Will. It was either counterbalance or Sword of the Meek. Maybe that's what it is. It's hard to tell at that angle. It may just be another Sword of the Meek.
And the board is wiped away. With Sensei's Divining Top tapped, it doesn't actually even allow him the ability to draw a card. Quick walk by old school Boston pro Mike Bergoli, glancing into the booth. Tezzeret again. Tezzeret using the plus ability, finding some land amongst other things. It's like a Mox Opal. Says go. Puts the Oblivion Stone back on top. Cast the Oblivion Stone.
Wow.
Land. Boom. Blows it all up.
That Oblivion Stone is ridiculous. That just Oblivion Stone Academy Ruins is just completely ridiculous. It's like Drew has to fight and scratch for every little bit of damage. Matt in hand has Lycra Malome and a Wasteland.
Drew. 1 white, perhaps. Maybe 1 blue. I think it's a white for an Enlightened Tutor. Reconsidering. Go.
Pass the turn. Alright, so Matt decides to...
Now, for those of you who aren't aware, there is a Riftstone portal in Matt's graveyard. That Riftstone portal in the graveyard does mean that Matt is able to actually cast spells with his colorless producing lands. That means his Maze of Ith does tap for color. As before, it would be tapping for nothing. Instead, it taps for white or green.
Yeah, but it looks like he's scooped to Drew. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe, Drew, whatever they were discussing, maybe Drew told him, this is my plan, do you have a way to stop it? And Matt said no, and yeah. Oh, okay, so he just gave it to him with that, because I didn't realize time was that close to running out. Okay, so they just, yeah. Basically,